We get the question a lot this time of year of, when do I stop feeding fill in the blanks?
Feed me Seymour, feed me all night long.
And we have to counter that with the next question, which is, well, are you using synthetic or are you using organic program?
Right.
Because if you're using synthetics, the way they work in their water solubility, we need to stop fertilizing by October 1st, because our issue there is we don't want to push tender new growth that might be caught by a frost.
Right.
But if you're using organics, you're really replacing into nature what that plant has been using throughout the year.
Right.
And when you think about it, nature doesn't go out and pull all of her nutrients out of the soil for the fall and winter.
No.
And so what we're doing is just making them available. And then when temperature and soil moisture are right, the plants will have a demand for those nutrients and they'll take them up. When the temperature drops too low, then they won't have that same demand. So we're just allowing nature to work the way she normally does.
Right.
And when we think about it, throughout the winter, even plants that are dormant, they're still building energy for the next year. So they're still storing energy in their roots. They still have a nutrition demand. And then we have so many plants that have active growth during the cooler months here, and they need that nutrition as well.
Well, it's very little cooler months,
Very
basically.
few.
You know, last winter I think our worst freeze was in March.
Right.
So yeah, and you, like you said, to your point, when we plant this time of year, we want those roots established and strong and healthy before the heat of the next summer.
Exactly. That's their job during the winter. Your established plants need to build energy for the following year, and your newly planted things need to be spending energy growing a root system out to be ready for next year.
Exactly. So there's also some things that we can do, not only doing the Food Complete, and doing that really, depending on the plant, could be a monthly basis, but
Absolutely.
I'm constantly throwing it out when I'm weeding, when I'm planting, whatever I'm doing, it's always going on the ground. But we also have some liquid options that we should consider as well, some foliar feeds.
We do, and they have winter-specific functions as well.
Well, we can start with BioBlast.
Okay.
And I would do this probably more of a soil drench than a foliar.
Right.
I probably would save the EM1 and the seaweed for the foliar. But this is a great addition to a fall fertilization. And you can even do this, I do it oftentimes with some of my pot plants at half strength.
Right.
You know, what I have on the patio all the time.
And that is a really good point, is that we ignore containers too often, especially throughout the winter. And they have a high nutrient demand because every time we water, we're flushing those nutrients out in addition to what the plant is using. So containers need even more attention than some of our in-ground plants do.
Perfect. And then we have the Vitazyme. Same thing. Get those vitamins and minerals in there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And then here's the foliar, which I know is probably your favorite.
Well, liquid seaweed offers a lot of things. You know, the seaweed collects a lot of minerals because seawater has a very high mineral content.
Right.
So we are providing that to our plants. We can use it as a liquid feed, but also it's very important as a foliar. It actually thickens the cuticle, what we would consider like the skin of the leaf, which gives it more resiliency throughout winter. And if you'll spray this before a heavy freeze is coming in, it actually acts as an antifreeze and gives us 2 or 3 degrees of extra temperature. Doesn't sound like a lot, but to a plant it can mean the difference between defoliating and not defoliating.
And that is such a good point. And so this is such an underused product.
Oh, definitely. I think every gardener should have it and use it for something. And then we have EM, which stands for effective microbes.
Right.
And this can be used as a soil drench and soil treatment as well. We often use this to water in plants to get good microbial, colonies working in the ground. But it can also be added to your foliar sprays at the same time, sprayed at the same time. With all these natural products, there's no chemical interaction, so we're safe there. Right. And
I'm going to speak also, oftentimes where people get a lot of information, or should I say misinformation, is through the web.
Correct.
You've got to be such careful, close attention to what site you're reading, what location that people are posting from.
Yes.
And to that, I would like to speak about peat.
And the peat. The peat.
Yeah, let's talk about peat and why we avoid it and why it's not in these products.
Right.
Peat moss, first of all, it's devoid of nutrition, so it's not giving you anything there. And one of the common myths is that it can be used to break up clay soil.
Right.
And it doesn't work that way.
Yes.
In fact, being originally from New Mexico, I can assure you that clay soil and peat moss and a little bit of water stirred up makes great adobe bricks. And while I love my old adobes, I don't want to garden in it.
Adobe. Can you say that with me? Adobe.
Okay, so we need to avoid the peat. And what
Right.
we're doing by replacing, even though this is also a fibrous material,
Right.
but what we're doing by replacing this is giving the soil the natural organic carbon material that it needs.
Right.
All the microbes are breaking down that material in order to provide fertilizer for our plants, and it mediates the clay soil better than many of the other additives that you'll read about on the web.
Exactly. So, again, don't let this season pass you by.
It's our coolest and best, most comfortable gardening season.
I love it.